we are very diversified in our media today. We have many countries, 100, 200, 300 channels on television, lots of different distractions. And the key in telling these stories is to tell stories in a way that is compelling and that is in a way that communicates the importance to people. It's very difficult to get people to care about something that's not related to humans. Humans relate to humans. And we always try and insert people into our stories, as my grandfather and father did, in such a way that becomes aspirational, in such a way that people can imagine, put themselves in the shoes of this experience and really feel it and be able to see it. Because there's a lot of frustration, too, in the world. We have a lot of reality television and game shows, a lot of popular culture that isn't addressing these challenges. And when you look at things like Occupy Wall Street, the resistance over the last many years to the G20 and the World Trade Organization, riots in Greece and protests in places like China over the environment, people are resisting the status quo because they see that the status quo is not working. The global community is beginning to realize that we are all connected and that what we do in one place affects another, and that the equity and justice that we all deserve is rapidly becoming more and more impossible because of the global systems that we have built. And we are all connected. I like to take my own advice. Story, as I always say, is the language of learning. So I'm going to share a lot of stories with you throughout this morning. And one in particular is a story that I remember, an experience that I had growing up. My grandfather always told me we were all connected. He always told me that lesson. And absolutely. I believe you, of course. Yes, we're all connected. And yet oftentimes, seeing is believing. And I remember one story in particular. I was in Papua New Guinea, an island just north of Australia. And this is one of the most remote places on Earth. And there are still cannibal tribes that live in Papua New Guinea. And many of the people in the highlands where we were visiting live without most of the modern conveniences that we are enjoying right now, like electricity and running water. Many of them still live in grass huts and hunt with bow and arrow and spears. And I remember in this most remote area, I was 16 years old, walking down a dusty road. And I remember a group of tribesmen walking towards me with the grass skirts and barefoot and feathers in their nose and the headdresses and the bow and arrow and spear they'd just been hunting in the jungle. And I remember walking and seeing a young group of men in the back walking towards us after the elders. And these young men also had grass skirts on, carrying bow and arrow. They had just come back also from hunting in the forest. Yet, as these men walked towards me, I noticed something different. These men were wearing LA Lakers basketball t-shirts. Here, in the most remote place in the entire world, somehow, LA Lakers basketball t-shirts had appeared on these young men. And if there was ever a question of the golden threads that unite each and every one of us together, for me, echoing the message of my grandfather, they were destroyed with that image of those men on a hot, muggy day walking down the road towards us with these bright yellow t-shirts on.